Quick before and after.
You're my mask, you're my cover, my shelter. You're my mask, you're the one who...
Many of you have already seen my remix videos of Master of Puppets and Dyer's Eve. The Master of Puppets remix was a little split down the middle, with many git-idiots trying to shit down my throat in the comments section because I dared to touch and alter their sacred cow. No gods and no masters, except for those whose dick I suck. But most of the people liked the remix of Dyer's Eve. I mean, I even got a shout out from Corn F Audio, both on their social media and through their marketing emails. I was like, rock on, okay. Which, by the way, I mean, if you guys want to sponsor a video, you know, I use your stuff. I've given you a lot of free promotion. Speaking of sponsors, I mean, if Miller Lite wants to hook me up with a sponsorship, I'm in, dude. I was a promo model for you guys for years. I know the talking points. That's one of the reasons why I drink the shit. Or for that matter, if Jameson wants to hook a man up with some whiskey on the reg in order for me to regularly talk about why this is the best whiskey, I will happily do that. Until then, this is not the best whiskey. Do not buy Jameson until they decide to give me free whiskey. While most audiophiles will agree that Master of Puppets and Injustice for All both have their audio shortcomings, today I am tackling one of the best sounding metal and rock records of all time, the Black Album. Specifically the song Sad But True. I have avoided doing this one for the longest time because there's really nothing I can do to make this sound any better. I mean, the way that it's mixed and produced, even trying to make it more modern is only going to make the tone relationship between all of these things less good. That tone relationship that Bob Rock accomplished, chef's a fucking kiss. It would be, at least within my current skill set, impossible to make that sound better. But I could definitely make it sound worse. So why not make it sound like Master of Puppets? There are so many differences between the two productions, Black Album and Master of Puppets, but a big glaring one is absolutely the guitar tones. Getting a delicious guitar tone that sits well in a mix is incredibly difficult. But thanks to my friends at String Source, this is much less of a problem for you. This is not a paid advertisement. Eric Hill is a friend of mine and has been basically pseudo-mentoring me for a while, and I wanted to give his products a shout out. String Source strings are constructed for an even, beautiful tone, and each pack was designed with even tension in mind. On the back of the pack, you can actually see the tension for each tuning you might want to be in for that pack of strings. Eric designed these strings and these string packs from the perspective of a producer, trying to get the right strings for the right tuning to get the absolute best tone. I use them, and I know you'll love them. And if you're really serious about tone, check out the Source Tone. This pedal precisely alters your guitar signal so that it changes how the amp interacts when you play. It is incredible the range of tone you can dial in with this guy. For people who really care about the details of making your amp sing, this guy is for you. If you're interested, check the link in the description and watch the demo video. I know you'll definitely be impressed. It would mean the world to me if you guys would go and support my friend Eric. Just click the link, buy a pack of strings, try them for yourself. Got nothing to lose. He is incredibly talented and his products are excellent. You can absolutely trust this man. All right, love you, Eric. Let's get into the video. Quick before and after.
You're my mask, you're my cover, my shelter. You're my mask, you're the one who's brave.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Okay, because I am such a tinkerer, I did try to see if there was anything I could do to make this sound better. Spoilers, no. But I gave it a shot and I did 2 mixes. For the first mix, I gave it a slightly different balance, as if I was mixing this to go to a modern master, so that the modern master would add this big richness and fullness. And for the second mix, I tried to exaggerate these tracks as much as I could without making them sound like total dog crap. That was a challenge, and if I had to pick between all of them, it's the one that's most fun for me to listen to, but I don't know if it's actually any better, or for that matter, I'm concerned it might be worse. So here's the OG mix.
You're my mask, you're my cover,
And here's my first
shelter.
tamed subtle mix.
You're my mask, you're the one who's brave.
There's like, you like can't even hear a difference, right? Like blink and you missed it. It's so incredibly subtly different. Original.
You're my
I barely kissed anything on this. For the guitars, I just sent it through the proprietary signal processing, and I gave it a 1 dB duck, narrow at 2.7, just to get that stuff a little bit more out of the way, which some might think is a bad decision because it might dull the guitar tone too much. I mean, the original tone does have this really nice frickin' bark bite to it without being overly bitey. Now, the bass is the thing I did the most stuff to, but honestly, it wasn't even that much. I just compressed it with an LA2A a little bit more. I did a little bit of compression and then compensation on the low end of the bass and the sub. Added a limiter to try and smooth out the consistency of each one of those hits, which I'm not even sure if that's the proper decision for this production, but it's what a lot of people do nowadays. Just trying to make that more consistent all around, but I have a funny feeling that probably takes away a bit of the punch on the downbeat that goes with that bass guitar. Then I wanted to make it a little bit more present in the upper mid-range and just tried to duck away a little bit of those subs. So one of the things that I recently learned that I was blown away by, deadmau5 is arguably the best living electronic producer today, right? He brick walls his mixes at 40 hertz. Which blows my mind. But it's like there's definitely things happening below 40 hertz, so he's brickwalling them, but why is there still stuff there? It comes back in mastering. So if I was prepping this to go to mastering to give myself a little bit more headroom, I would duck that boy out. I might even go more aggressive, but I was a little worried about overcompensating to the point where I'd lose that thick sub boy. Didn't even touch the vocals, and actually on my second mix, I didn't touch the vocals either, because the vocals, like, there's nothing I could touch on these vocals to make them sound any better. It would exclusively sound worse. So again, here's the original mix. And the new mix. It's barely noticeable, and I imagine a lot of people would pick the original mix. Again, I mixed this as if I was going to send it to a mastering engineer, knowing that the mastering engineer is going to exaggerate certain things. Now, my second mix is going to be more noticeably different. It's not obnoxiously different, but it's noticeable. All right, so here's the original. And then mine. A little tighter. And let's go to the toms. Let's listen to how the toms hit here on my second mix. I really like how those toms hit. They're thick boys. Very clearly, the original mix is more natural, undeniably. I still prefer the original mix. But like, if I was going to try and exaggerate things as much as I felt like I could get away with, you'd have to tighten up certain things and try and make them really stab. And I don't know that I like it more. There's a lot of top end in the transients on those drums, and also the cymbals were a little bit harsh there, but I think it works well for the original mix's sound. But since I'm going to be making everything a little bit bigger, I tried to squeeze just a hair out of there. I gave it a little boost at around 650 because I wanted more of that mid-range of the snare back. And I gave it just a nudge of juice at 78 hertz just to get a little bit more of an exaggerated kick drum. Then, like an asshole, I put on the SPL Vitalizer, gave it a little bit of exaggeration on the low end, made it a little bit softer, in quotes. Gave the cymbals and all of the air on the shells just a little bit more excitement, for lack of a better term. And that was all for that guy. I mean, here, I'll take everything else off, and you can just listen to the difference between those two. Subtle. Very subtle. Then I did Brainworks Boom because I'm a fucking asshole. Just again, to give a little bit more oomph on that kick drum, trying to make the kick drum closer to the lowest thing that's on there, even though these were produced to have the bass guitar be the lowest thing that's on there. Then I exaggerated the transients. This is before and then after. Just a little bit of transient exaggeration. Then I added a clipper to it, which I don't think they would have done at all on this record. So this is before the clipper and after the clipper. Really makes those things make a big frickin' statement. And that does nothing. And I had an extra plugin on here that wasn't doing anything, so goodbye. With the guitars, I just did some very mild EQ work, a little bit of boost, a little bit of duck, but nothing crazy. And for the bass guitar, I basically did the same thing as the other one, but this time I did soothe to get it out of the way of the kick drum. Okay, but enough of that. Let's go to this absolutely horrendous Master of Puppets mix. All right, this is the original. And this is how I mixed it to try and mimic Master of Puppets. It's so bad. It's so bad. That is so thick and awesome. Oh, it's so bad. In the event that you think I'm full of crap, this is what Master of Puppets sounds like. Now the mix. I mean, very obviously these are not the same, but they're a lot closer together than the original mix of Sad But True and Master of Puppets. Because the productions are so different, it is literally impossible for me to match the guitar tones, the drums, and the bass and everything of those two tracks together without doing basically not even a mix anymore. It's studio trickery, for lack of a better term. And even then, it wouldn't be the same. Just listen to how the drums were recorded on the original Sad But True. Beautiful. And then listen to the drums on Master of Puppets. They sound like shit by comparison. Not even close. Immaculate, clean, full picture, accurate. They're a little bit more hyped in the top mids than I would want to do for today, but they sound great on this record. And then you listen to these. Sounds like ass. No amount of me mixing is going to honestly replicate that. So the first thing I had to do to absolutely butcher this thing was make the transients less. It's the first time in my entire life where I've had to use a transient designer to make the attack less, to make it shittier. I made the sustain less as well. I had to murder this thing. Then for the drums, there's this weird, like, somewhere between 800 and like 1.5K clickiness on all of the fucking drums on the master mix that I couldn't replicate without actually having the individual tracks. So I just gave it a boost around 980 just to say, fuck you guys. And if you listen closely, the kick drum on Master of Puppets has a note that rings out around 95 hertz. All right, so to emphasize what I'm referring to, let's go to 95 hertz. Let's make this a little bit more narrow. That fucking thing that I just exaggerated the hell out of. Now I'm gonna turn it off. Now listen to the ooh, 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 ooh. It's there. It's there loud and clear. So I tried to replicate that shittiness by giving that note back. I'm trying to add that note again here with a whopping 15.5 dB. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. All right, so this is before. Beautiful drums. And now I'm gonna murder your boy. Look, does it sound the same? No, it does not sound the same. But again, without having the actual tracks, I can't fucking design these. So I'm just pissing you off. It's so bad. Now, after exaggerating it, I used the SSL expander part of this channel to kind of take away, again, some more of the sustain and make them a little bit more dead, get rid of the room, the beautiful room that's on there. The fucking kick drum is hilarious. Then also, because Bob Rock did not have the overheads panned the entire way 100% both directions, you know, like an adult wouldn't do. I used a stereo splitter so that you would have the same sonic picture of both guitars and overheads fighting for the furthest wide part of the mix. Then I added a flex verb to simulate that shitty fucking reverb on the Master of Puppets drums. And lastly, because that stereo spreader moved the kick drum wider as well, I had to get rid of that kick drum sub stuff on the sides. It was just making it intolerable to listen to. So I did a high pass on the sides up to about 210. This is without that high pass. Just unlistenable. And then with it on. Pay specific attention when you're listening to the kick drum and the snare. They're gonna sound like everywhere, and then they go really far in. So this is without it on. It's like everywhere, obnoxious, unnatural, terrible. Now turning it on. Brings them right center. All right, these freaking guitars, dear Lord. This is before. And then after. Again, there was no way for me to be able to make that sound exactly like Master of Puppets, but if I A-B them, I got pretty freaking close. Master of Puppets. My shittily mixed Sad But True. That's pretty close. All right, so an amplified instrument processor, I actually used the aggressive mid-range solid state proprietary signal processing. I gave it a duck around 760. I gave it a 1 dB boost at 2500 and a 1.5 dB boost at 3500, like an asshole. I ran it through this black box saturation. This thing is beautiful. I love this thing. Again, if you want to sponsor me. I actually ducked away a little bit at 100 hertz, weirdly enough. I thought I was gonna have to boost there. And gave it a dramatic boost at 1000 hertz. That one surprised me. Then there's this absolute tard. I had the duck away at 136 because the low end was just too awesome on this track. The thing that I wanted to try and match was that kind of flubby, not as defined low end that was on Master of Puppets, but I have no idea how to mix to make that a thing. Future Mike here. Not that the Master of Puppets low end is actually flubby, it's just not as smooth and defined as that on Sad But True. So the other option was try and accentuate around 200 more and get rid of the delicious bottom on these guitars, which was, it's murder. I should go to jail for doing this. Had the dip around 500 to kind of match the tone better. These guys, in order to match the shittily not fine-tuned mixed sound that was coming out of the Master Puppets guitars, this is the first time in my fucking life I have ever done an EQ like this. And again, I should go to jail. But then it was getting way too bright, so I had to high shelf it and pull it way down because it was getting way too bright. Even still, it's too bright, and I'm not sure exactly how to match those two things equally just yet. I'm trying to match the saturation styles with like the wrong tools. But again, this is before. What a fucking outstanding guitar tone. Now after. I should be fucking murdered. Okay, before bass tone. So good. It is so good. It's so painful. Oh, fuck me, it's so bad. And if you think I'm joking, listen to this piece of shit. It's not a good bass tone. I got pretty fucking close. What an absolute fucking disaster. What an absolute fucking travesty. I don't care if the mix is fucking redlining. Eat shit. As if anyone's gonna tell in this clusterfuck of ass. I'm not even gonna talk about what I did to the bass. It's more of the fucking same. I mean, does the Master of Puppets mix sound better than my mix? Yeah, duh. I mean, that's not fucking saying much. The mix on Master of Puppets being worse really has less to do with the mix itself and more really to do with the production. That's why these two production styles, the way that each of these things were captured and how the tones were dialed in, are so wildly different. You would have to do something that would get you fired in a real mixing job in order to try to make them sound like one another. And again, they don't sound the same, but they certainly sound a lot closer now that I just gutted it, took a knife straight down from the chest down to the pelvis and ripped it open and mangled its guts with a fucking blender. I feel dirty making this video. So I hope that this video is a wake-up call for many metalheads out there. 1, the Black Album is immaculately mixed and produced. 2, dialing in beautiful, bold guitar tones the old-fashioned way is very difficult and takes years to master. 3, just because you enjoy a song does not mean that it objectively sounds good. 4, it is okay to not like the Black Album. It's okay to even nitpick the production and mixing on the Black Album if you really want to. But if you think that the Black Album sounds bad, you need to learn a lot more about sound. What Bob Rock was able to capture on this album completely changed how every metal and hard rock album would be produced and mixed ever since. And even if for some reason you are brain dead enough to believe that Master of Puppets is an objectively better production than the Black Album, at least you would have to admit that Bob Rock's production style matched those songs on the Black Album way better than the production on Master of Puppets would have. The weight of these tones really emphasizes the weight of the riffs. And the balls of your song start to shrink when you put too much emphasis on the upper mids, getting that biting thing that everyone who doesn't know jack shit about mixing and is a guitar player tries to chase. Instead of having those more balanced out with some luscious, thick boy lows and subs. I hate my Master of Puppets mix. And I don't even think my other mixes really improved upon the Sad But True mix at all. But hey, it was fun. So bad. It's murder. I should go to jail for doing this. I should be fucking murdered. It was fun.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And hey, I love Master of Puppets as much as the next guy. It's a very formative album for me, and I still enjoy listening to it. Even if I could make those songs sound better, it's really more of a testament to how great those songs are and how great that album was, despite the production flaws. But it is kind of enticing to say, I mean, what if? What if you could improve the mix of Master of Puppets? What if it had a more modern sensibility? I answer that question for you here, where I remixed Master of Puppets. Try to make it bigger, try to make it bolder. I would love to know what you guys think. Spoilers, my mix is better.